My name is Marlene Davidson. I've spent my entire life giving everything to my daughter. I sacrificed my career, my relationships, my dreams, all for her. And now, after emptying my retirement savings to save her from foreclosure, she stands in her doorway
and tells me I'm toxic.
that I'm manipulative.
That she never wants to see my face again. $20,000. 20 years of savings. Gone. Just like that. And for what?
To be thrown away like garbage?
I've been patient. I've been understanding. But I'm done.
You hear me, Sophia?
You will regret this.
You will realize what you've done when it's too late to fix it.
Before we continue,
If you enjoy real family stories and relationship dramas,
make sure to click that subscribe button. This is the best way for you to support our work. Thank you very much, and let's continue. I never thought I'd be sitting alone in my car at 63, recording this. But I need someone to hear my story. Maybe you're a parent who's given everything to your children. Maybe you're a child who's taking your parents for granted. Either way, I hope my story makes you think twice about the relationships you value. Or the ones you're throwing away. I had Sophia when I was just 22. Her father, Daniel, and I weren't married. We were young in love and completely unprepared for parenthood. When I told him I was pregnant, he stayed for a while, 3 months after she was born to be exact. Then one day, I came home from the grocery store to find a note on the kitchen counter. I'm not cut out for this life. And sorry, that was it.
No forwarding address, no phone number. Just 34 words that changed my life forever. My parents had warned me about Daniel.
They said he was irresponsible, immature. They begged me not to move in with him. And when he left,
They didn't exactly welcome me back with open arms.
you made your bed.
My father said when I called, sobbing, baby Sophia wailing in the background.
Now lie in it. So that's what I did.
I got a job waiting tables during the day while a neighbor watched Sophia. At night, I took online classes, slowly working toward a nursing degree. We lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment in a part of town where police sirens were our nightly lullaby.
But we were making it work.
Sophia was a beautiful, happy baby despite everything. Her smile made every sacrifice worthwhile. It took me 6 years to finish my degree, working full-time and raising Sophia alone. The day I graduated, my little girl sat in the audience,
Clapping louder than anyone else.
She was wearing a dress we'd found at a thrift store. Her hair carefully braided the way she liked it. I'm so proud of you, Mommy, she said, throwing her arms around my neck. That moment, that single perfect moment,
Made every sleepless night.
every missed opportunity, every struggle worth it. With my nursing degree, things got better. We moved to a safer neighborhood. Sophia started at a good school. I was able to work regular hours at the local hospital, which meant I could be home in the evenings to help with homework, to cook proper meals, to actually be present in my daughter's life. Those were good years. Hard still, yes, raising a child alone is never easy, but good. Sophia thrived. She was smart, creative, determined, so much like me in some ways, yet entirely her own person. She loved art and spent hours drawing elaborate pictures that covered our refrigerator. She was quieter than other kids, more thoughtful. Teachers always commented on her empathy, how she looked out for the kids who were struggling or left out. When Sophia was 14, she asked about her father for the first time in years. She'd gone through phases of curiosity when she was younger.
But this was different.
She wanted details, specifics. Where was he from? Did he have other children? What were his parents like? Why did he really leave? I told her everything I knew, which wasn't much.
Daniel had been charming, funny, spontaneous.
He worked odd jobs, never staying in one place too long. His parents had died when he was young. He had no siblings that I knew of. And he left because he was scared of responsibility, of failure, of being tied down.
It wasn't her fault, I emphasized.
It was never about her.
Do you think he ever thinks about me?
She asked, her voice small in the darkness of her bedroom, where we'd been talking for hours. I'm sure he does, I said, though I had no idea if it was true. How could anyone forget you? Looking back, I see that this was a turning point. Something shifted in Sophia after that conversation. There was a new guardedness to her.
A distance that hadn't been there before.
She started testing boundaries, staying out later than her curfew, snapping at me over small things. Normal teenage rebellion, I told myself. All kids go through this phase.
But it didn't feel normal. It felt personal.
As if she'd decided I was somehow to blame for her father's absence. As if by being the parent who stayed, I had become responsible for the pain caused by the parent who left. The arguments grew more frequent, more intense. When she was 16, she started seeing a boy named Jason. He was 18, already out of school working at an auto shop. He had tattoos crawling up his neck, and a perpetual sneer that made my skin crawl.
You don't even know him.
Sophia would yell when I expressed concerns. You're just judging him by how he looks. And maybe she was right. Maybe I was being unfair. But there was something in his eyes when he looked at her. Something possessive, calculating. He reminded me too much of Daniel.
Of that same selfish street.
That put his wants above everyone else's needs. Things reached a breaking point the night of Sophia's junior prom. She'd been at Jason's house beforehand, supposedly getting ready with his sister. But when she didn't answer my texts as the night wore on, I drove over there. His car was gone. His mother answered the door in a bathrobe, cigarette dangling from her lips. They left hours ago, she said, uninterested. Said something about driving to the coast for the weekend.
My heart stopped.
Sophia had deliberately lied to me, had planned this deception for who knows how long.
She was 17, with a boy I didn't trust.
Headed to a destination 3 hours away.
I called the police, but they couldn't do much.
She wasn't technically missing, she'd left voluntarily. She wasn't quite 18. But she was close enough that they didn't consider it a priority. Teenagers, the officer said with a shrug. She'll come home when she's ready. She did come home. 3 days later, sauntering into the house as if nothing had happened. As if I hadn't been sick with worry. Hadn't called every hospital between here and the coast. Hadn't imagined her body broken on the side of some highway.
Where have you been?
I screamed, relief and rage warring inside me.
Do you have any idea what you put me through? Sophia rolled her eyes.
Chill out, Mom. I'm fine. We just needed to get away for a while.
Get away?
I echoed.
Get away from what? From me? From your life that's so terrible, because I've only given you everything I possibly could.
Yes, she shouted back.
From you.
From your constant hovering, your judgment, your pathetic lonely life that you want to drag me into. Her words hit me like physical blows. I staggered back, unable to speak.
Jason was right,
she continued, her voice cold. You're just jealous because I have someone who loves me.
And you've been alone forever.
I'd never hit Sophia. Never even considered it. But in that moment I had to physically restrain myself, digging my nails into my palms until I felt the sharp sting of skin breaking. Go to your room, I menaced finally. We'll talk about this when we've both calmed down.
Whatever,
she muttered, brushing past me. I'm moving in with Jason when I graduate anyway. Just a few more months of your dictatorship to endure. She was true to her word. The day after her graduation ceremony, which Jason didn't attend because he had to work, though I later learned he was simply hungover, Sophia packed her belongings into his beat-up truck and left without saying goodbye. She left her key on the kitchen counter, next to a note that read,
I need space. Don't call. I respected her wishes, though it nearly killed me. I didn't call. Didn't text.
Didn't drive by Jason's apartment, though I knew exactly where it was. I told myself she needed to make her own mistakes, find her own way. That she'd come back when she was ready. A year passed. Then 2. I heard snippets about her life through mutual acquaintances. She was working as a receptionist at a real estate office. She and Jason were still together. They'd moved to a slightly better apartment on the other side of town.
I sent birthday cards, Christmas cards.
Short, non-intrusive messages just letting her know I was thinking of her.
That I loved her.
That I was here whenever she was ready to talk.
They went unanswered.
Then 3 years after she'd walked out of my life, my phone rang at 2 a.m. I fumbled for it in the dark, heart racing as it always does when the phone rings at that hour. Man. Her voice was small, choked with tears.
I need help.
I was in my car before she'd finished explaining. Jason had lost his job months ago. They'd been living on her income alone, falling further and further behind on rent. Now they were facing eviction. They needed $3,000 by the end of the week or they'd be out on the street. I drew the money that morning. Drove it straight to her apartment, which was in worse shape than I'd imagined. The complex was run down, paint peeling, trash overflowing from dumpsters.
Her unit smelled of cigarettes and unwashed dishes. Jason wasn't there. Working a side job.
Sophia explained vaguely, not meeting my eyes. She looked thin, tired.
Older than her 21 years.
I didn't lecture. Didn't say I told you so, though the words burned on my tongue.
I simply handed her the cash, gave her a brief, awkward hug,
and left when she made it clear she didn't want me to stay. Thank you, she said as I headed toward the door. I mean it, Mom. Anytime, I replied. I'm always here for you, Sophia.
Always.
That was the beginning of what I now recognize as a pattern.
Every few months, there would be a crisis.
Call appears.
Medical bills.
Another eviction threat. Each time, Sophia would call, tearful and apologetic. Each time, I would provide whatever she needed. Each time, she would promise things would get better. They never did. Eventually, Jason left, much like her father had, with little warning and less explanation.
Only by then Sophia was pregnant.
5 months along with a daughter of her own.
He said he never wanted kids.
She sobbed over the phone.
Said I tricked him. That it probably wasn't even his.
I moved her back into my house that weekend. Cleared out my home office to make a nursery. Took her to doctor's appointments. Bought her prenatal vitamins. Held her hair back during morning sickness.
For a few months, it felt like we were rebuilding something.
Like the daughter I remembered was emerging from wherever she'd been hiding all these years. Lily was born in spring, perfect, beautiful, with a full head of dark hair just like Sophia had as a baby.
And for a while everything was good.
Sophia was a devoted mother despite her initial fears. She went back to work when Lily was 6 months old, and I adjusted my hospital shifts to provide childcare.
We fell into a comfortable rhythm, the three of us.
A family, but as Lily grew, so did Sophia's restlessness. She started going out after work, leaving Lily with me for hours beyond what we'd agreed.
She'd come home smelling of alcohol and cigarettes.
Sometimes with a man in tow who'd awkwardly leave in the morning, while I made breakfast for Lily. You're a mother now, I reminded her after a particularly late night.
You have responsibilities.
I know that, she snapped.
I'm with her all day at work, then all evening and night.
Am I not allowed to have any life of my own?
Of course you are,
I said carefully.
But Lily needs stability, routine.
And I need to know when you'll be home, so I can plan my own schedule. Sophia laughed, a harsh sound. Your schedule?
What schedule?
Your entire life revolves around me and Lily. You have no friends, no hobbies, no life outside this house. Don't project your loneliness onto me. The words stung because there was truth in them. I had built my life around my daughter, and now my granddaughter. While I had colleagues I was friendly with, I had few close friends. My last serious relationship had ended years ago. But wasn't that the sacrifice parents made?
Hadn't I done what was necessary?
I made choices, I said finally. Choices to prioritize you. And I don't regret them. But you're right, this arrangement isn't working.
You need your independence and I need respect.
Within a month, Sophia had found an apartment. It was small but clean, in a decent area close to Lily's preschool. I helped with the security deposit, bought them new furniture, stocked their kitchen. Sophia seemed genuinely grateful, more mature somehow now that she was truly on her own with Lily. For 2 years things were stable. I saw Lily twice a week, sometimes keeping her overnight on weekends to give Sophia a break. Sophia had been promoted at work, was dating a nice man named David who treated Lily with kindness and patience. Then David proposed. Sophia said yes. They planned a small wedding with Lily as the flower girl.
I helped where I could.
Addressing invitations, arranging flowers, finding Sophia a dress within her budget. It was the happiest I'd seen her in years, maybe ever. The wedding was beautiful. Sophia was radiant. David looked at her with genuine love. Lily twirled in her little pink dress, delighted to be the center of attention.
For the first time in decades, I allowed myself to relax.
To believe that my daughter had found her way to happiness. 3 months after the wedding, David was diagnosed with aggressive lymphoma. The prognosis was grim from the start, stage 4 spread to multiple organs. Sophia was destroyed. She took leave from work to care for him, to take him to treatments, to research experimental options. I stepped in to help with Lily, bringing her to my house after school, keeping her on weekends when David was particularly ill. I offered financial help, but Sophia refused at first. We're handling it, she insisted.
His insurance is good. We have savings. But cancer is expensive even with insurance. Experimental treatments aren't covered.
Time off work isn't compensated indefinitely.
Their savings dwindled, then disappeared.
Bills mounted, medical bills, credit card debt.
Everyday expenses that didn't stop just because life had been put on pause. David died 11 months after his diagnosis. Sophia was shattered.
A widow at 27. Lily, now 6, couldn't comprehend why her new daddy wasn't coming home. And underneath the grief was the brutal reality. Sophia was nearly $50,000 in debt. With a mortgage she couldn't afford on a house now worth less than they'd paid for it due to a downturn in the market. I can't lose the house, she told me, eyes hollow but determined.
It's all we have left of him. It's Lily's home.
I'll work double shifts, cut every expense, but I can't let it go. I understood.
So when the foreclosure notice came, despite Sophia's best efforts, I didn't hesitate. I had been saving for retirement, building a modest nest egg that would allow me to stop working in a few years. I withdrew $20,000, nearly everything, and gave it to Sophia. This will cover what you need to keep the house,
I said, pressing the cashier's check into her hands. Pay off the arrears, negotiate with the bank.
You don't have to pay me back.
Sophia cried, holding me tighter than she had in years. I don't deserve you, she whispered. After everything, all the ways I've hurt you.
And you're still here, still saving me.
You're my daughter, I said simply. That's what mothers do. For a few months things were better.
Sophia kept the house,
returned to work full-time, started therapy to process her grief.
I continued helping with Lily,
established routines, provided stability while Sophia healed.
Then came the day everything changed.
I arrived at Sophia's house to pick Lily up for our weekend together as usual. But instead of Lily running to the door with her backpack, it was Sophia who met me on the porch,
arms crossed.
We need to talk, she said, her voice flat. I've been doing a lot of work in therapy addressing my patterns, my relationships. And I've realized something. My heart sank, though I couldn't have said why.
What's that?
Our relationship isn't healthy, Mom. It never has been. You've always used money, used help as a way to control me, to make me dependent on you.
Ist hier, speechless.
What are you talking about?
Every time you've helped me,
it's come with strings attached.
With expectations. With this
martyrdom complex where you're the long-suffering mother.
And I'm the ungrateful daughter. It's toxic. Sophia.
I began, struggling to process what I was hearing.
I've only ever wanted to help you. To make your life easier. No.
She cut me off.
You've wanted to be needed. There's a difference.
You've cultivated this dynamic where I'm always failing.
Always needing rescue. And you're always the rescuer.
It makes you feel good, feel important.
That's not true.
I protested, feeling as though I'd stepped into some bizarre alternate reality. I gave you that money for the house because I love you. Because I couldn't bear to see you and Lily lose your home after everything you'd been through.
And now you think I owe you,
she said coldly. Now you think you have the right to be here whenever you want, to make decisions about Lily, to have opinions about how I live my life.
Because I'm your mother.
I was shouting now, something I rarely did.
Because I've sacrificed everything for you since the day you were born. See?
She pointed at me, triumphant.
As if I'd just proven her point. There it is. The martyr complex.
I've sacrificed everything for you. Do you have any idea how manipulative that is?
How much guilt that puts on a child?
I felt dizzy, nauseated.
This is insane. Where's this coming from? Is this your therapist filling your head with?
Don't, she interrupted. Don't blame my therapist. She's helped me see what I should have realized years ago. Our relationship isn't healthy.
And it's affecting my relationship with Lily.
I'm repeating patterns, creating the same dependent dynamic with her that you created with me. I thought of Lily then, wondered if she could hear us arguing.
Can we at least discuss this calmly?
Inside.
Where's Lily?
She's at a friend's, Sophia said.
I wanted to have this conversation without her here.
At least we agreed on that.
Fine.
Let's go inside and talk about this rationally. No, Sophia said firmly.
I've made my decision.
I need space, real space this time. No calls, no visits, no contact at all until I've figured out how to set proper boundaries with you.
And Lily?
I asked, my voice breaking. She's my granddaughter.
You can't just cut me off from her.
She's my daughter, Sophia replied, her voice like steel. And right now what she needs is a mother who isn't enmeshed in a toxic relationship.
After everything I've done for you.
I whispered, tears finally spilling over.
After the money for the house.
There it is again, she said, almost sadly.
The money.
It always comes back to what you've done for me, what I owe you.
This is exactly why we need a break.
I stood there, rain beginning to fall, feeling as though the ground was crumbling beneath my feet.
How long?
I menaced finally. I don't know.
Maybe months. Maybe longer.
I need to figure this out on my own, without your influence.
And if I don't agree?
If I want to see my granddaughter.
Her expression hardened.
Then I'll get a restraining order. Don't test me on this, Mom.
Unserious.
You don't mean that, I said, but even as the words left my mouth I could see that she did. I need you to leave now, she said. And I need you not to come back.
Not to call.
Not to send cards or gifts or messages through friends.
I need complete separation. Sophia, please.
If you love me, she said, if you truly want what's best for me and not just what makes you feel needed, you'll respect this boundary.
You'll give me the space I'm asking for. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see how twisted her thinking had become. But something in her eyes, something cold and resolved, told me it would only make things worse. At least let me say goodbye to Lily, I begged. She hesitated, then shook her head. I'll explain it to her.
In a way that doesn't villainize you but helps her understand why this is necessary.
I had no choice. Naughty goals.
So I did the only thing I could do. I left. Walked back to my car through the rain.
Tears mixing with the droplets on my face. Drove home to my empty house. Sat in the dark wondering how everything had gone so terribly wrong. That was 6 months ago. 6 months of silence, of checking my phone obsessively for messages that never come.
6 months of driving past their house, just to catch a glimpse of Lily playing in the yard.
6 months of questions without answers.
Did Sophia's therapist really suggest this extreme cutting of ties? Or was that Sophia's interpretation?
Has she told Lily the truth, or created some narrative that casts me as the villain? Is this truly about boundaries and healing?
Or is it punishment for some perceived wrong I can't identify? I've written letters I never send.
Called and hung up before it rings.
Considered showing up at her workplace, her house, Lily's school.
But I haven't.
Because beneath my hurt and confusion is the terrifying thought.
What if she's right?
What if I have been using my help, my support, my financial assistance as a means of control? What if my sacrifices, which I've always seen as acts of love, have been a burden to her? What if my presence in her life, in Lily's life, is actually harmful in ways I'm too close to see?
I don't believe it.
Not really. But doubt, once planted, grows like a weed, choking out certainty.
So I wait.
I respect her boundaries, not because I agree with them, but because I love her enough to give her what she's asking for. Even if it's breaking my heart. Even if every day without Lily feels like drowning. Even if the thought that my granddaughter might forget me makes it hard to breathe. $20,000 to save her home. For decades of unwavering support. A lifetime of love.
And in return, I've been told to disappear.
To become a ghost in my own daughter's story. Is this what parenthood ultimately comes to? This cruel equation where love given doesn't equal love returned? Where sacrifice becomes evidence of manipulation? Where a lifetime of showing up means nothing in the face of a new narrative?
I don't know.
I only know that I'm 63 years old. Alone in a house filled with photographs of a life that no longer exists. Wondering if I'll ever get to hold my granddaughter again. Wondering if my daughter will ever understand that love isn't perfect.
That parents make mistakes.
That behind every act of giving was simply a mother trying her best. Maybe someday Sophia will see things differently. Maybe the pendulum will swing back. And she'll recognize that imperfect love is still love.
That help offered, even awkwardly or with unintended strings,
came from a place of genuine care. That whatever mistakes I made were born of love, not manipulation.
Or maybe she won't.
Maybe this is where our story ends.
With silence and separation and questions that will never be answered.
All I know is that if Sophia called today, I would answer.
If she needed me, I would be there. If she asked for forgiveness, Though I'm still not sure what I've done that needs forgiving, I would give it without hesitation.
Because that's what mothers do. We love beyond reason, beyond hurt, beyond rejection. We love even when that love isn't wanted. Even when that love is misunderstood. Even when that love is thrown back in our faces as something ugly and controlling. We love anyway.
We love always.
We love until the end. So I weep by a phone that doesn't ring.
I check a mailbox that remains empty.
I drive past a house where I'm no longer welcome. And I hope, with a hope that feels increasingly foolish but refuses to die,
that someday my daughter will call again. That someday I'll hear Lily's voice.
That someday we'll find our way back to each other.
Because behind the hurt, behind the confusion,
behind the injustice of it all, is a truth I can't escape. Sophia is still my daughter. Lily is still my granddaughter. And I am still a mother and grandmother, even if I'm not allowed to act like one right now. That identity can't be taken from me, even if the relationships that define it have been severed. So I hold on to it, this core truth of who I am. I hold on to it and I wait. And if you're listening to this, if you stayed with me through this story, maybe you're waiting too. Maybe you're on one side of a similar divide, the parent wondering where they went wrong, or the child convinced they need to break free. Maybe you're wondering if reconciliation is possible, if bridges burned can ever be rebuilt.
I don't have those answers. But I do know this.
Life is too short and too precious for estrangement to be the final word. Too short to let pride or hurt or misunderstanding keep us from the people we love. Too precious to waste years we can never get back. So if you're the parent,
keep loving, keep hoping, keep the door open.
But also respect boundaries, painful as they may be. Love from a distance if that's all that's allowed.
And if you're the child,
consider that perspective changes with time. That the parent you see as controlling or manipulative may simply be loving you in the only way they know how. That perfection is not the price of admission to your life.
Perhaps there's a middle ground between complete separation and unhealthy enmeshment. Perhaps there's a way forward that honors both autonomy and connection.
Perhaps there's healing possible that doesn't require amputation of the relationship entirely. I have to believe that's true. I have to believe that this isn't the end of my story with Sophia and Lily, but merely a difficult chapter. A chapter that someday we'll look back on from a place of reconciliation and renewed understanding. Because the alternative, that this estrangement is permanent, that I've lost my daughter and granddaughter forever,
is too painful to accept. So I choose hope even when hope seems foolish.
I choose love even when love is rejected. I choose to believe that someday my phone will ring, and it will be Sophia saying the words I long to hear. Man,
I'm ready to talk. Until then I wait. And Liz, I worked.
I try to find meaning beyond the identity of mother and grandmother that has defined me for so long. I try to see this time as an opportunity for my own growth,
my own reflection. But always I keep space in my heart for them.
Always I remain ready to welcome them back, without judgment, without conditions,
without rehashing the pain of the past. Because that's what love does. It awaits. It hopes. It endures.
And so do I.